He always secretly throws away fresh eggs. But the next day the neighbor girl sent a new one for free. Until this day, the boy's behavior happened to be discovered by the girl. I learned that all the previous gifts were thrown away. The girl snatched the egg angrily. I didn't expect that my good boy was so uncherished. A basin of cold water extinguished all her passion for Bryce. Since then, Julie is not paying attention to Bryce's life. But Bryce discovered it in hindsight. He was used to the former Julie pestering him. Julie first met Bryce when she was 7 years old. She was captivated by Bryce's clear, bright eyes. She wanted to play with Bryce, but Bryce tried to shake her away. In the pull, the hands of the two were inadvertently held together. Bryce's clear and bright eyes made Julie's heart flutter, so she made up her mind. Be brave enough to express your emotions. So from then on, whenever she saw Bryce, she would come forward and give him a big hug. But this made Bryce feel very distressed. In the end, the students all saw them as a couple, but Bryce didn't like all this. But he didn't know how to refuse Julie. Until they entered the 6th grade, Bryce finally came up with an idea. That is to pretend to pursue the school flower Shirley. Deliberately let Julie in sight. When Julie saw this scene, as expected, Julie really gradually began to distance himself from Bryce. However, happiness is always short-lived. Soon after, Gary, who liked Shirley, betrayed him. Gary told Shirley the truth. Shirley then broke up with Bryce. However, Julie happened to see this scene. She couldn't help but be secretly happy. After Bryce returned to singleness, she couldn't help but get close to Bryce. She smelled the fragrance of Bryce, dreaming of the day they were together. However, what she didn't know was, her strong attention made Bryce feel uneasy. Since the Bryce family moved here, Bryce's father couldn't get used to Julie's overgrown house, laugh at them for being rednecks. He thought that Julie's father was a poor painter. Later, under the influence of his father, Bryce also developed a prejudice against Julie's family. But Julie didn't know anything about it, until the day my father painted in the yard. My father could see it at a glance. The daughter has someone she likes. Her father told her, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Look at a person to see the whole picture. It cannot be limited to local issues.
What does that mean?
A painting is more than the sum of its parts. A meadow by itself is just grass, flowers, but you put them all together, and it can be magic.
At this time, Julie didn't understand what her father meant. Until this day, she kited to the sycamore tree to rescue the broken wire. Climbed to heights never before. The higher she climbed, the more stunning the view. Strands of light strewn across the clouds. The breeze mixed with the fragrance of weeds hits the face. But at this time, Bryce appeared. But it adds boredom to this beautiful scenery. This kite is exactly his. Julie invited him to come up and enjoy the scenery together. But Bryce again rejected her for ridiculous reasons. Julie did not expose his lies. She felt that Bryce didn't like her. Since then, Julie was hooked on the place. She sits on the plane tree every day. See the sea of clouds at sunrise. See how the sun penetrates the early morning sky. She suddenly understood her father's words. The whole is more important than the parts. Previously she only saw Bryce's shining point. Now she is no longer limited to that. Instead, she looked at the wider world.